Okay, ready for some statistics? Between 1500 and 1800, okay, that 300-year period, 20% of the population of the Earth was wiped out in Indian epidemics. Okay, so 1 out of every 5 people on Earth was a Western Hemisphere indigenous who died being depopulated by disease during the 300 years from 1500 to 1800. That is considered the largest loss of life in the history of humankind. 20% of their population. Now, as we'll get into in the disease section, there's 3 kind of technical factors, but it had these 22 diseases. It was a disaster waiting to happen, really, and we will cover that later. It had a huge impact on history. Now, they did wipe out and slaughter many millions and tens of millions of people as well, too, lest we forget. But many of the areas were depopulated due to disease. In fact, in some areas in eastern North America, complete towns that were depopulated, and Europeans just literally moved right into the towns, lock, stock, and barrel, because the town had been emptied out by depopulation. So this situation where we look back at this and Europeans want to be able to have proud stories and not stories they can be ashamed of, that period in history is ending soon, and the next generation or two will be even more so. They have to face up to this stuff now. The fact that they just stole everything fair and square, that's kind of how it works. But as this was unfolding, the different nations, they realized that they were killing off their own workers. They were here to enrich themselves, and they were looking, of course, for gold and silver, but they also began a lot of other enterprises as well along the way, which required millions of workers, hundreds of thousands of workers, who were dying of these diseases. Now, the African population was immune to one of the very worst diseases, 2 types of malarias. The second type of malaria in particularly was tough on the Western Hemisphere and on Europeans as well too. Africans normally were immune to that disease, so they began bringing Africans over. Now, the slave trade had begun in earnest in the 1300s and 1400s. But during that same 300 years, let us remember that 12 to 14 million Africans came to the Americas as well, and only 1 out of 6 made it here from their home village over to the coast, to the ship, across the ocean to the other coast, and to their final destination. It was unspeakable horrors from that history, and only 1 out of 6 made it. So that is 60 to 70 million dead Africans that, when we're looking at the body count and adding it up from colonialism, that's something that we don't want to forget about either. Well, see you next time. Bye for now.